Hey everybody, Nick here, and today we're going to do a little disassembly and maintenance on this little knife right here. This is the Kizer T1, which they've been unhelpfully spelling with the Roman numeral TI, and then if you search for TI knives, it doesn't go so well. But anyways, moving along. This is a really neat knife, and I'm looking forward to taking it apart. A couple of things to highlight though. Right now, this knife is in great shape. Like, the action on this is dreamy. I love these actions so damn much. And the centering is good and everything, so I'm like borderline scared to take it apart. But you know what, here, I'm gonna go on ahead and do it because I'm insane and, well, that's what I do. So, there you go. Also, in the name of full disclosure, this knife was sent to me as a freebie from Kizer Cutlery. They sent it to me for review and refused to let me ship it back to China. So therefore, it is free to me. I am doing my best not to let that influence me too much, but that's always something I overthink about. I overthink about it. Nice. So, there we go. We are popped apart. And the knife is disassembled, and here we go. Well, that was easy. What we see here is that this is a vanilla Kizer frame lock. At some level, you know, very seldom, generally I will just do my disassembly video on like a Thursday and then, but for knives like this, like what the heck's the point? Thursday is pretty uninteresting. It's just like it's another freaking Kizer. Like at some level, I could just say, you know what, this is another freaking Kizer and call it a day. But, you know, I don't know, there are people who are going to buy this specific knife and want to see how this specific knife works. So I'm going to go ahead and film it. But what I might do is just air this on the same day as the review, because it's not really that interesting separately. This is more for reference. But maybe I can make it more interesting. I can narrate. I can tell a great little story or something like that. Just going ahead and cleaning with rubbing alcohol here. Just trying to clean out these little areas, make sure the pivot area is cleared out, which is good. Again, clean this out here. We're going to see that this side of the scale, by the way, has a D shape for the pivot, which makes sense because one side of the pivot has a D shape for the scale. So it all matches up. The Circle of Life, like the Lion King or something. Good movie. But, did you know that Simba is, I believe, the Swahili word for lion? And I believe Pumbaa is the word for warthog. They weren't very creative in that. I mean, well, actually, they were very creative in that they hired one guy who speaks Swahili, and he just kind of went to town on that freaking movie. And, you know, hopefully he didn't bill him too much. Although at some level, go for it. If you can get paid for speaking Swahili, then by God, you should. Alrighty, moving right along here, back at the ranch. Due to disassembly of a knife here, I'm applying a little bit of Sharpie to the lock face here as well, just because that's very often helpful. To reduce lock stick here. I haven't had any lock stick on this knife whatsoever, but, you know, I don't see there's very little harm in doing it. Okay, I'm putting this little guy back together. This knife, speaking of things that are of slight interest, I need to clean the bearings, of course. This knife puts me in a little bit of an awkward situation. I hate to... Whoa there, as I splash booze all over the place. This knife puts me in an awkward situation because, as I said, this was gifted to me from Kizer in exchange for a review. And, you know, I've always say to Kizer and anybody else who asks, you know, sure, I'll take your item for review, but I'm going to talk about the good, the great, the bad, and the ugly. I could just as easily call it junk as I could call it a gem. More likely it's going to be junk, but still. And so, you know, and Kizer has seen some of my last reviews. I mean, in my last round, the ones they sent, I called the Uprising kind of not a very good knife. Because the ergonomics were, well, basically it was like grabbing a bag of rattlesnakes, ergonomically speaking. So, you know, they've seen me not give good reviews, and yet they still sent it. So at that level, I respect it. But it puts me very much on the defensive, because I don't want to ever allow this to color my impressions of things. And so when a knife comes along that I am actually really fond of, and this guy is one of those knives, and it's been given to me by a company for review, and given this doesn't come up very often, Kizer is the only company that's been brave enough to send me a knife that's flat out for public review. I'm always really hesitant to I don't know. I'm scared to call it too good of a thing. Like, Nick, are you sure? Are you being influenced here? Am I a Manchurian reviewer? Or something like that. Because, it makes it very easy to say, it's fine, the Kizer collar. It's a fine knife, whatever. But, when I actually want to say, like, I love this freaking knife, and I kind of do. I'll be real here. Spoiler alert. But, that I'm always reluctant to, just because I don't want to sound bought and paid for. But this guy is, I think, earned it. And luckily, I'm not the only person saying that, and if it was a piece of crap and I was sitting there saying, oh, yeah, this is the best knife making since Chris Reeve, yeah, people would see through it, but still. So it puts me in an awkward situation, roundabout back at the ranch sort of approach here. Puts me in a weird situation when I really like, by the way, the stop pin is hollow. This is a slight weakness from an engineering standpoint. It's probably not enough that it matters, but I don't get that. They've done that on a couple of other knives. The Kim Ning Uprising was one of them. I'm trying to think who else, but I deeply don't understand that choice. It's probably just reusing a part. They had a hollow pin around for something else, and they just figured, you know what, screw it, we'll use it as a stop pin too. Whatever. But anyways, I'm always really liking this knife as much as I do, given that it is a loaner, or not a loaner, but a freebie. He's awkward. And I'm just trying to negotiate that in my own head. Nobody is free of bias, but I feel like I'm still giving this guy a fair shake, and it comes up nicely. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pop the pivot back up in here. I'm probably way overthinking that. And considering the number of people out there who would take the freebie like, oh yeah, 100% freaking gem. Not accusing anybody particular of that, but I can see the temptation, because good reviews get you more knives. There's a reason nobody's sending me gear, by and large. I have in my more cynical moments wondered whether Kizer's grasp of English, or at least their customer service people, their grasp of English is insufficient for them to understand that my reviews are critical. But that's okay. I'm sure they're better than that. English is hard. I gotta give credit there. And the people I talk with are very kind and whatnot. But anyways, okay. So right now, action's still great. A little bit of blade play. So let's tighten this down a little. Oh, God, I love that action. Okay, centering is there. Oh, yeah. I mean, seriously, that's good action. This is nice, and as much this is a rant for the review here. I'm spoiler alerting here left and right. It's been a long day, but anyways, I'm always a little reluctant to think about bearings for a sort of everyday work knife, because bearings have serious disadvantages for everyday work, just given that they tend to crud up a little more easily. Not every knife needs to be on bearings, despite what some people might think I think. But, there is definitely a joy to thumb stud knives that are running on bearings. Oh, yeah. The freaking detent on this. Oh, yeah. I love that. That feels so good. But anyways, so there we go. The knife is now reassembled. I have now discussed my epistemic crisis here of not knowing what is reality, what is bias, striving for objectivity in a world that resists it. And but mostly I've disassembled and maintained this knife here, which was pretty straightforward to take apart. Hopefully you learned something, or at the very least you found my my musings and whinings, first world problems and whatnot, interesting and amusing. And but mostly I really do hope that you have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of the day, and do check out the review of this little guy, because holy crap. Alrighty, bye now.